everything before it manifested in physical domain was imagined for us. It's a very creative power, and some of the books read, your imagination truly is. The God will never go out. He's always one person who said imagination is Christ within you. Jesus is human imagination is Jesus Christ. And he kind of like puts a lot of analogies and he really explains it how everything in the Bible is a metaphysical explanation of.
Is a metaphor for metaphysical explanation.
Yes, metaphor. That's right. Yeah, there's no. He's saying that some of these things people didn't exist in this time. This is a metaphors of things, and actually, well, I can't recite enough offhand now, but it does make a lot of sense. And I did find out that actually, and he says that if you want something, you simply imagine as if you already have it, and it will come forth into experience.
And the you who wants something, it's only momentary. You think that it wants, it's only momentary, because even the you is not itself a permanent composition. It's a sort of change. It's like an amoeba. The you is not stable. The you wants something, because you wanted many things in life. But when you got them, after a while, you don't want them anymore, or your desires change.
But the thing is God is manifested in body, or the universal, the universal power is manifested in the body, in time and spirit. And what's expressed with desires?
Well, I would say that it's not just what express the desires. I mean, there's something. I say that consciousness seems to create the sense of a problem in order to have the experience of transcending the problem. Sometimes it creates a desire, then to then discern whether this desire is good or not. So that it just produces a desire and says, okay, let's have it. Sometimes it produces the sense of a desire in order to exercise another aspect of its power, which is this power to discern whether this thing that is initially desired is a thing to be had or to be let go of. It has to use the power of discernment, not just desire something, have it, because we know that we can have desires. And then you can want them, but when you have them, they produce very full fruits.
True, that's true. Because just because you get something you want, it doesn't mean that it's the right thing.
And we have enough experience of that.
Yeah.
We have had many things that we wanted. Some came easily, some came with very hard work. But when you get them, even the thing that seemed like it's going to produce the greatest happiness, after a while it doesn't produce. In fact, it doesn't produce anything. It's just that somehow we cease wanting it when you get it. And it's the relief from the desire, which the desire in a sense frustrates us. It's very addictive. But when you get the thing, that means that desire has to drop, because now you have it. And the falling away of the desire, this is what Ramana was saying, actually, it's very beautiful. When the cessation of the energy of desire produces the feeling of relief, and we enjoy that relief as though it is the joy that is coming from the thing that we desire. That's what it is. Because you can see that is pure imagination. You know, I really desire to have this particular glass, for instance. Okay? And say my grandmother had a glass like this. It's really, I've always wanted it, because for me, that is my strongest memory. Is her drinking out of this glass, or every night she put her teeth in that glass, or whatever. I really value that. Then finally I get this glass, and I'm just completely full of joy. Because I'm satisfying all my imagination and projections. I finally have the thing that really means so much to my grandmother.
But you brought that forth into experience, right?
It developed inside me, the thought. With my corporation. Then the glass is brought here. And then I find that Muji also has 6 of those glasses here. You bring this glass around with you. I put 6 of those glasses. We all have some orange juice in the glasses. And somebody's taken all the glasses inside the kitchen. And wash them all together, and they all are identical, you don't know which one is your grandmother's glass anymore. For instance, okay? Now, the glass in itself, the grandmother's glass, doesn't know it's it's grandmother's glass. It doesn't have any sentiment towards your grandmother or anything. It's just a glass. And you're identical. You cannot tell any difference between that and the other 6 glasses. Okay? But to you, your mind, it makes a tremendous difference that you get the right glass. The glass doesn't mind, Muji doesn't mind, only your mind minds. Because it's made a particular sentiment about a particular glass, which you can say it is that particular glass on one level. You can say, but that is a particular glass, and it's very important that he finds that particular glass. For one reason, to satisfy his own sentimental, attachments or something like this. So you can see how much the mind is involved in that, that it is not a logical satisfaction. I mean, the glass is there, and you could say we take anyone. But most people would say, no, that wouldn't be satisfying. I need to discover exactly what I came with. Well, for me, that is hugely conceptual, sentimental, and that's where the value of it is. Now, if one of the glass broke, I said, oh my God, broken the glass. I hope it's not my grandmother's glass. I said, no, it wasn't. The grandmother's glass is this one, I put it over here. Suddenly they give you meaning and context and recognition again. It may not be the same glass, but again it reinstates the importance and the uniqueness of that glass. You take it, put it in your bag, and you may continue with that glass for the next 40 years of your life, thinking this is the same glass I took from my grandmother. It may or may not be. You see, so mine is a very, very unreliable field.
But which mind are we talking about? The conscious mind or the superconscious mind?
Go. Well, I mean, the superconscious mind is not personal.
Okay.
Let's put it like that. The superconscious mind is not a personal mind.
But we have access to that superconscious, or the superconscious mind can be.
Well, actually, we can say that
to be aligned.
The superconscious mind is not in service to the ego. Mostly, we are identified with the state of the ego. We don't mind when we say that, but the fact is that's how we are. We have very strong preference for the sense of individuality about this particular body, about our particular upbringing and so on. That's a very unique condition. We value that.
But what if you go into a creative mode where you think that I am anything I would like to be and express myself? I have a
Well, it depends on whether you can do that genuinely. You may do an exercise in that, but you're not able to retain that because it takes a while to develop in some way an authentic, transformative experience. It's not that you may have a little, what you may call a glimpse. You may have a fix or a shot or a dose, but to retain, you cannot retain. You have to really have changed at a cellular level to then say that's what I am now. You see, the change may take over time to change. It can happen very quickly also, but something must have triggered it in a very profound way. You may have to go through a crisis that tends to intensifies and what I would say, not just intensifies the experience, but almost render the experience. You understand?
Yeah.
Rather than just, you have a smell and the smell is gone. It means that something at an organic level within you has changed. Your whole outlook, your inner environment, the atmosphere, the climate of your thinking, everything has changed now. And so you become that thing. But you cannot just say, if I just did this exercise, will I become that? No, I don't think so. We have to say at the same time. At the root, we are that. You understand? But that may not be your experience. Our experience, what we may confirm as our experience, honestly, is going to be your daily familiar experience, the way in which your favorite idea of yourself, or how you are habituated to think about yourself. That may what is registered in your mind as who you are. And you can't just jump out of that, because that is a rehearsed identity that keeps growing and strengthening over time.
So if you drop every single belief about who you are?
You cannot. You cannot. It has to be, I would say that it can happen through grace and through education, and through exercise, and through contemplation, and through meditation, and through the grace and guidance of a teacher who has themselves done that, can help you to reach that state much more quickly and authentically. But to just say, it's like today, I was talking with two of my, what you may call it, students, let's say. They're in a relationship and they're struggling within their relationship on some level. And they're taking a trip together, which I've asked them to take. But they're going to be together intensely for the next 2 days in a very close contact because they're driving together in a vehicle. And at the moment, they're finding the relationship challenging. And one of them said to me today, should I just drop it? Should I just give it up? All this relationship and all of these things. And I said, no, you can't. You're not mature enough to just drop things. It takes a certain maturity, a certain strength of character to drop the things that are sticky for you. Your attachments, your fears, your insecurities. You can't just drop them. So what I would prefer is that you continue to look at them and to confirm that you are actually looking at them and the very fact that you're looking at them makes them phenomenal for you so that they cannot be absolutes, they cannot be facts. They are just sort of phenomena arising in you and thereby recognize that you who perceive the phenomena are you also phenomena. Because this type of questioning really is so powerful and really clarifying at a cellular level within our being the distinction between yourself and your mind. Understand? At the bottom of all of this, the mind and the self, they meet and they're one, they're the same root. But at the flowering part of being, in the branches and the leaves, there's differences there. And you must know the distinction between the flower, the leaf, the branch,
But
the tree,
that's
the fruit.
is the mind, the perception, and the creation. It's all created in the mind first, right? And then it flowers.
We may say that thought energies do arise from the self, take shape in the mind.
Because the thought is creative, it's an uncreative power.
I don't know if the thought are themselves creative. I think that it is the consciousness that is identified with thought that sort of has a creative power through its relationship with thought. I don't think thought in themselves feel. A thought is not a living thing. A thought is only a kind of an appearance energetically that has the potential, the capacity to be turned into something else. But the thought doesn't turn itself into something else. Like a thought doesn't think itself. It only sort of manifests, but energetically.
There is something in that a thought can do. Like this thing explained, this one book that explains it's like there is something out there, right? And a formless substance that permeates the whole universe.
Yeah.
And a thought at a certain level put into the substance, right, will manifest. Now, obviously, I don't know how to process that, but I thought it has to be a certain kind of it's a weird thing.
Well, we can look already, we have sufficient evidence because all our actions, you can say everything that's surrounding us, for instance, in this room. I think you will agree because I think you were hinting at that earlier, that everything that you see in its tangible expression
Was thought of first.
It first appeared as thought, imagination.
Yeah.
And then many things appeared as thought that did become actualized into actual entities, or not entities, but into objects.
But that's because
So intention was there, an intention was there, an urge was there, you may say like this, that brought the thought from an abstract manifestation into a concrete manifestation. Yeah. We have sufficient evidence.
So it says that the thought is sustained and kind of
Yes. If you're trying to say if the thought is strong enough, if we're single-minded enough about it,
yeah, definitely.
can you not bring that thought intentionally into a
Physical
thought?
state.
Yeah. Yes, you can. But really, is the human mind so singular in its concentrated power?
But this is apparently what all the geniuses of the world and have done to introduce certain things to the world, to science.
No, many of what you may call the genius, the discoveries, were not something that they made. They sort of happened. What happened is that the genius didn't think that anything genuine. Actually, what they were obsessed with a certain thing.
They had
that shaped and colored their abilities. It directed their abilities. But in a way, almost they have to come to a place of no mind. They have to come to a place of complete emptiness, where the mind completely drops or relaxes. It loses its personal root or identity. And in that space, because previously there's a tension that's been created through intense interest, then suddenly it relaxes in the space. And then the thing that's being sought for, the thing that we're seeking, can then pop into the space more because it's empty for it to manifest in its purest light. And then it came, as you may call, like a spark of divine idea. You can use these language if you want to.
That's very true.
And then you may say, aha, so that's it. And then the rest becomes simple then, because it's just an experience of totally clear mind.
Because you said that, then the person actually happens automatically. If the thought is so powerful, sustained in this form and substance, then if anything happens, conspires to make it appear.
It can do, not necessarily that it may come into form. It will depend upon whether the intention behind it is a personal motivation or a universal expression. Understand? If it is a person's intention.
But what kind of be person? Because why is it not that the manifestation of God in the person?
You can say that the person is also a manifestation of God. But somehow when God manifests as a person, let's say as a person, it can imbue within that personal expression a sense of a very strong egoic identity, meaning that the personal mode of consciousness is very much selfish, self-indulgent, self-centered in a psychological way, in an egoic way. Or the person, so to speak, can be more of an empty vessel through which the universal expression acts without intrusion, without personal intrusion. In which case I would call it a pure action. When the universal force expresses through the kind of personal mode, it's a little bit like moving in sludge. It's a bit more heavy, it's a bit more of a heavier movement. And there's something so wise in that, is that when consciousness manifests as evil, its manifestations and its expressions tend to be much more clumsy, more heavily burdened, in a sense. It has to be so because the whole expression or movement of consciousness in its totality is a movement towards consciousness, not towards consciousness. The person seems to be in isolation, like you imagine a wave, having its own identity and its own sense of autonomy, and believing that it can just choose to go where it will. Whereas it can't, because each movement of the wave has the total ocean under it. At a certain point, we come to see that there's no individual in this, in the way that we imagine. That if you come to understand that the individual is only a notion, it's only an illusion, and in fact the individuality is the universality of activity. But once you come to that understanding, you're no more, giving value to the person. It's not like a selfish reason for something to happen. The universe is not selfish in its expression. It's always total. It's like it's always caring for all its parts somehow.
What about the kind of the negative energy because I've come to understand that there's a negative force and a positive force in the atom as well, negative and obviously the will to sustain itself. Now I came across another book which is again life changing in a way. It's called Out Within the Devil, where the author he wrote this book in the 30s, where he didn't publish it because at the time he said the publishers would have certain anyway, it came out about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Anyway, here is basically an interview with the devil. Supposedly the devil talking like, and like good conversation with God. Similar to that kind of way he's talking to God, this is where he's talking to the devil. The devil being with a negative energy, and how he says, I have 98% of the world in my hands, and I control them to the mind domain. To the negative force, the force of fear of authority, fear of love, fear of any type of fear of religion, fear of any kind of fear where I reside. Yeah. And as you read that, you think, oh, it's so true, because it's true. It's like everyone's got that. And he said there's only 2% of the man that are not under my control. And they are the ones who have a definite purpose in their life. Whatever that means, they have a definite purpose. They're not drifters, right?
And not dreamers in a kind of, drifty way.
Yeah, and then anyway, but he says, so the interview goes on about but how do you come into the mind in the beginning? But I come to the mind right at birth, to the parents. The parents are the first people who are my workers. In fact, because my workers are everywhere, the schools, the churches, they're all working for me. Obviously, that's when you realize that this book had come out. That in those days, the guy would have been, persecuted. Anyway, it's amazing. And it's true. You think how it all works to put a negative feeling into the mind of the, and then at a certain stage, there's a law called the law of hypnotic rhythm. That means that this law, if one just continues to think in a certain way for a long period of time, in a negative way, that's it. I've got that mind for good. There's a point of no return. There's a point of no return. That mind can never be turned back, to the light or to the positive side with my adversary, who you might call God. It's quite amazing. What do you think of this?
It's beautiful. I'm enjoying the conversation with this day.
It's beautiful.
I speak often that there's a power in us that works to keep our attention and our focus only upon our physical existence, on the transient aspect of ourselves. And that we have to overcome the influence of this power. But we cannot do that casually. There has to be such a power to transcend this power. Otherwise, you may make some small changes, and for most of us, we're happy. We just more so. We're quite happy to just get a little bit of pleasure.
That's correct, because he says that even when a man does attempt to come out of my power, I always rein him back in somehow. So if he initially conquers the fear of poverty, then I will conquer him by the fear of love. If he conquers the fear of love, I will bring some, and would like, yeah. For me, it was the cream of the cake, the recent kind of.
Because I think that is a beautiful perspective to be looking from the position of the mind.
Yeah,
Because the mind also is God. The mind also works from God.
yeah.
And the mind is working towards God. You understand what I'm saying? It's the God in us, but something in us loves the noise that comes from the mind. It loves the promise that comes from the mind. It loves as long as we are covered in that smell of ego, we are attracted to the ego space. So very few break free completely. But many people have
that. 2% of man is not under my spell. 98% I control, 90% of mankind. The mind of man.
Yeah.
And it's really, and it's kind of pretty much similar to what they say in the kind of 1%, 1 out of a million. It's a good way to see how, and it's a really book you read, wow, this is true, because this is what happens to you. You can see it. I'm seeing how it's working in my child right now. In a way, I see how she's being influenced by the schools, and sometimes they don't believe what they say, everything they say to you, or even how your parents are.
But this power is a power that is inside us.
But this power is a negative part of the universe that has to exist.
It has to exist.
It has to exist.
And also the part of us which what I want to say that people very quickly is that this power has to be 98% effective.
Right.
Because 1% of us, which is truly awake, can override the 98% like this very easily. So it's almost like this negative power has to work full time, whereas the positive power does not really have to work. It is. Now, where does the work happen then? The work happens because for a while the positive power can only succumb to negative power through the state of hypnosis. It's just that it's unaware of its real self. And just that unawareness gives the unreal self, the unreal power, the negative, the dark side, seem to have all this power. It's like fool's gold. It looks exactly like gold, you see? But you have to scrape it to see that it's unreal. But we are so much at the state of being in love with the sheen of it, with the sparkle of it, that we never question it. And also, we need a little bit of that fool's gold in us, which is our own egoic self-notion, to really be so attracted to the fool's gold of our mind. So, I think it is a brilliant thing. I am not discouraged by this, from that you said, because I've never put it. Sometimes I have said 99.9% of the mind is rubbish, and only the 0.1% is also rubbish. Sometimes I'm saying that because I see that most of what we run after and think and listen to people they have to say, less and less I'm listening to them, because more and more I see that almost everything they speak is rubbish. What we think, what we want, what we imagine, what we believe is rubbish. It's just all part of this buzz that comes from the mind. But rarely do you see someone, even someone who says, I really know the truth, when you pull them very close, so you start to find that we are addicted to other things as well, which we still want the truth, but we can want the truth holding on to those things at the same time. So it is a quite a poignant sort of metaphor example. Not because evil is powerful in itself, but because of the power of our destruction that creates the whole destruction. Just by the power of destruction. Not because the unreal is true. It is not true. But just because we have forgotten or we're distracted And this is why I don't conceive of or speak or try to share these things like something that, oh, you have to do this. I do say to people, you know, if truth is what you're seeking, then you have to turn away from the untruth and you have to look a bit more. You have to be humble enough to follow advice, you know, true advice. But you cannot make them do it. They have to show that from inside themselves something that you're willing to follow. You know, true good advice.
So how does this transformation happen to a situation in the regional level, at the cellular level, where the being, the physical being is completely in the same vibration as you?
There has to be a desire. If there's a desire, there must be a desire for freedom. But not to desire freedom for personal ends. Understand? It's not like I want to be free or I want to realize the truth because I want to be the most important person in the world or because I want to get what I want. It cannot be for any other reason than the love for truth. When there's the love for truth, everything opens up. The universe opens up its heart to it. But if it is because you cannot trick the consciousness.
But in the meantime, the universe is always giving you what you want, irrespective of if you believe or not.
The universe is always giving you what you think you want.
That's right.
It often gives you for a while. It will seem to give you what you want. In the teenage years of consciousness, it will give what you seem to want.
But even if you, that's what I'm saying, because consciously you might think, I don't want it, but it's still getting you, because on the subconscious level,
there's some things you want and you will get. There's some things you want and you won't get. You'll get something else that you don't want, but that you need.
Because they say, okay, this law of attraction thing, because there's no, I mean, the laws I've gained recently, it says there's many laws in the law, just like the law of gravity, the law of attraction, the law of compensation, there's also the law of karma, where you give, you get kind of thing. The concept of law of attraction, you're always getting what you want. Now people might think that, I'm really suffering, I don't want suffering, but they said what it means is that if your predominant thoughts are always about suffering, that's when you're attracted to yourself more.
If your predominant thought might be dressed up to look like it's something beautiful.
Yeah.
But underneath, it is a suffering thought.
Yeah.
And that's what you will feel. That's what
and that's exactly what, because in my experience, I found I attracted to myself because I was totally fearing losing everything. You know, for a long time, you know, I had fear of obviously losing stuff, you know, and it all happened. And I realized, actually, even though on the concept I was always really strong-minded, you know, I was always very strong-minded, nothing's going to get me down, I will never give up. I'm always saying these things, you know, not wondering why. But then I realized that actually, because deep down, there was that kind of predominant thoughts about worrying about these things, it actually did happen, and it actually came into being.
Okay.
So now, through that experience, I find that it's better obviously to think really positive things thoughts all the time as much as possible anyway.
Yeah, such
as, you know, focusing on what you want to happen rather than what you don't want to happen.
And do you think it's possible that something can be totally positive by not wanting anything at all? I don't know if the word positive is the right word, but let's say harmony.
I don't know because I haven't reached that stage where I feel of not wanting anything at all. I mean,
no, it's difficult. It's a subtle thing I'm talking.
Okay.
Because I cannot ask you not to want, because you don't want in your mind.
Yeah.
But you already indicated to me somehow that want may not be a truth. It can be a want that is based upon, it might be a want that can bring you trouble, for instance.
But in this case, some of the wants that I have right now, some of them are quite obviously, I feel obligatory wants that obviously are providing for my child and so
Okay, now what I'm saying about this is very few people you see give the universe a chance to show what it is without your wants and your desires. Very few human beings
So you say
to a
that
place, let me say, where they are not in a in a in a position anymore to be more demanding and wanting and needing, but more cooperating with what life expresses naturally inside themselves,
so
but not themselves. But it's not desires of, oh, I need it. They understand that desires are actually fool's gold. It's not that because a desire comes and it should be had. Sometimes a desire comes and it should not be had.
so like Jesus said, whatsoever you want your Father to give you, is something like more than something. Like if you surrender.
No, there's different examples he gave. The one you're talking about is one where he's saying,
Give yourself unto the kingdom first.
he says that you don't need to worry for what you need, because if you look at the birds in the air, they don't worry about tomorrow. God supplies food for them. Or look at even the flowers of the field, which are here only for a day or two, and then next they're gone. And yet, not even Solomon, in all of his splendor as a king, was dressed as beautifully as these simple flowers, which are only here for a short time. And how much more will God take care of you? If he takes care of the birds and the worms and everything, how much more will he take care of you? But he said, first, though, seek first the kingdom of heaven, and all these other things will be added to you, will also come for you. But what happens is that when one searches for the kingdom of heaven, which is not a heaven made out of things, but the heaven of peaceful heart, contentment, to know your true self. That is the treasures that cannot be, no thief can steal. When you come to that treasure, the other things will be added unto you, of course, because you are in a state of harmony in life, but life does care for life. But the thing is that you will not be wanting them. They're just there, they just happen. At the moment, we see them in a very exaggerated way because we think that they're so imaginatively so important. But
I've experienced a state actually, a glimpse of a state where you're kind of harmony, and if you think a thought, it just happens so quickly, like it just manifests. But it wasn't a desperate kind of desire. It was something very innocent.
It may happen like that for a short period. You may have. I don't believe that you just every thought you would think would manifest.
No, not
but there are some thoughts that you may think about something and it seems to come to you. But it's got nothing to do with necessarily with intention.
That's
sort of like something as you use the word innocent, but not really. And in the end, these are not really important things. You may observe this and say, wait a minute, there's an amazing power in the universe that seemed to, I don't think it's just an accident. It seemed like there is, like my mind did pick up on something that is a kind of truth, but I cannot control that truth. I was just allowed to see it.
So how does master control get into the state where, in a way, it's totality of control?
Well, this is the thing, the master does not control. What happens is that the master first controls his own tendencies first, and then becomes nothing. And it's only because of becoming nothing that they find that there is perfect synchronicity with the cosmic current or vibration. And when they're like that, things just happen beautifully around them, naturally. It's not what we think. A master, we have this strange idea that a master, has this tremendous power to control and to do things and so on. But they're not in control of anything. The word control is not a big news or, it doesn't have such a great meaning for when you become a master. They're entirely empty of desire.
But when Jesus said it's a miracle that Jesus one, he must have had some intention.
He says, if I drive demons out by the finger of God, you understand? Meaning that, according to the will of God, and because he's in harmony with it, it can seem like, of course, because when he's in harmony with the will of God, he acts as God. He said, like God gives me power. It is God who gives me the power to forgive sins. Because he speaks like that. Because he's speaking to human beings who have a certain capacity for understanding. When they ask him, show us God, he says, but how can I show you God? I am here in front of you. You see? Well, is Jesus saying, I am God, the totality? He said, no, I am God, who is the totality. I am in harmony with God, which is the totality. I cannot say that this face you see is the only face of God. But I can say now, he's not saying that, of course. I'm saying on his behalf. That all that is here is God. His understanding has become so pure. But he does say, trust in your God and my God. He always acknowledges that supreme power, perhaps for the sake of human beings, to not let them too much believe in him as a personal God. He always attributed to the totality. And that actually, I think, cared for him also. Made his life more beautiful. He did not say, look, I am the only God. He says, I am God. He is the Son of God. In fact, he didn't say that he's God. He was more fond of saying, I'm the Son of Man, which is the title of a prophet. He knew the dangers that would come to call himself that I am the God absolute. And I don't think that this is right for anyone to say, I am the God absolute. And yet at the same time, I can say that when the sages say, I am this, only that, and I am that absolute, it is said completely without any ego. And it is so beautiful to hear that said from the human mouth that has the clarity of mind, heart, to declare what is the only truth that human being can really say in here. You see? But I don't see the masters. It's only that the supreme consciousness may manifest in one form, particular kind of qualities, like the abilities to heal or to speak about the future or something like this. Mm-hmm. But not in everybody it manifests the same. It doesn't mean that manifestation is greater than another one. It just means that somehow...
But the totality of the whole manifestation is in every being, right?
The totality of what?
Of the whole creation, the whole... is in every being, the potential.
Yes, but it's not personal. The potential is there in each body. The body cannot demonstrate the potential of the totality. Each body cannot demonstrate the totality. The body is only an instrument, and each instrument is apportioned a certain amount of limitation and abilities. It cannot be the instrument through which the totality manifests its totalityness. You understand?
So then are you saying that that particular manifestations was predestined to achieve certain kind of qualities and
to express within the world of limitation, the world of limitation being the world of the body-mind expression.
So this world being an illusion, because
so is the body-mind an illusion also, which is the womb of where the world springs.
So the world is a thought in the mind of God.
Yes. Yes, I agree that the world is an illusion. And also the one who is living in it is also an illusion in the mind of God. And the mind of God is also inside his body, which is an illusion. You see? The thought of God, which is also illusory, but it is divine. And also where the source of the thought of God is also inside his body. God is inside his body. And I don't know what each person means by God. If they mean by God,
is it God being the positive force of the what about the negative thing totally?
If you speak of God as only the positive force, you make God into limitation. I think the positive and the negative are aspects of God's power. But what I call God is beyond.
But it is beyond God, because God being the word and the concept of itself.
You see, this is the concept that you may have like that. But I would say that God is beyond the concept. That is my concept, you may say. God is beyond the concept.
So an absolute
Yes, I would say
Power.
that when I relate or think of God in that way,
But beyond
Yeah,
this
it's not
absolute power,
different.
there's many levels of manifestation
why beyond? It cannot be beyond. Springing out from.
of this world.
Yeah, yes.
So is it possible that even God is an offspring of this?
Of this absolute consciousness.
Yeah.
You can say if you limit God to quality, then obviously that God is itself secondary to that which is qualityless. If you give God a quality like positive or negative, I would say for me, God is beyond positive and negative. When I say God, I equate God with absolute. So absoluteness.
Your personal being, the ego, can not possibly experience the absolute or perceive the absolute. No? Can it?
Well, you see, the thing is that there's no such thing really, even in this body, there's no such thing as the personal being. There is the true being, which is imagining itself to be a personal being. You know, the personal being is actually the shallower dimension of concepts for me. It is the consciousness, the presence, which is the presence of God also, that then dreams itself to be the body and the conditioning, which converts it into the sense of being a person. And so the consciousness, thinking itself to be a person, is to try to get back to something which it misses.
Or it's kind of playing in the game of the creation.
Well, it doesn't feel like it's a game,
Yes, it doesn't feel like it's a game. Yeah,
but you can say, as you said, that it is playing in the game of creation.
so obviously, then is there built into this illusion certain techniques or kind of roots out of it?
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Why we have the power to contemplate, to inquire, to meditate, to reflect. All these are.
There must be many roots.
They all boil down to pretty much the same kind of thing. Whether there's the root of surrender, of love, of devotion, of self-inquiry, of chanting mindfulness, or reflecting upon things you've heard.
What is Kundalini stuff mean?
That's also root also.
Right.
Yeah. All of these are you may call pathways.
Out of the illusion.
Yeah, to come out of the illusion. Yes. Some more difficult than
So what is the quickest way out of the quickest route is if one was saying I want to go to somewhere there, what is the quickest route?
I would say for myself the quickest route is what I'm heading to. The quickest route would be there. Because it's like no frills. Basically.
But if someone's enjoying the game of then obviously they want to stay in that game.
Myself also enjoy it.
But so can you play the game and also get out another way out and come back in and another way out?
You can use the word, I play the game, yet I'm aware of it as a game.
Yeah. So you can enjoy
Or
the game.
I can use the metaphor that like a dream. That I'm in the dream, enjoying the dream, but I'm awake inside the dream. I know what I am and what I am not. Not in the classic use of the word not knowing it, but I don't know anything actually, not having information about it. But I am that. I am that truth. Yes, I am that. And as far as the untruth is concerned, I think it is kind of illusory. Even the untruth is true.
And what state will you recognize like a firm conviction of being kind of like in that awareness on a cellular level?
When you move even deeper than conviction, when you go deeper than conviction, where it becomes just simple and natural. Conviction even is phenomenal. The self doesn't have to be convinced. conviction is still something that I am convinced about something, which is the very, you may say, the highest form of faith, you may say, or knowledge is conviction. So,
if one realizes that one person or one being, one manifestation realizes that the world is an illusion of a thought in the mind of God,
yeah,
but still others exist.
the one who realizes that the world is a thought in the mind of God, or in their own mind, still moves in the world.
But the world is still existing as an illusion.
They're not going around thinking the world is an illusion, the world is an illusion. They simply know that, full stop. They know that. Yet they know that there's a purpose to it. They know that they don't dismiss it in any consistent way. They move in the world like other beings. They drink when they're thirsty, they sleep when they're tired. So they understand that they have a physical body and that they have the function of the intellect, the mind, and so on, which they use also. And they know its ways. They know it's both the purer ways and the devious ways of the mind. But always they are one with themselves. They're outside of anything that can develop as a trap of the mind. It is a very natural maturity and recognition, but very natural.
So, what's the point of all of them? Because as I said earlier in the book, and it's quite true that 98% of the world, if you like, is in a hypnotic rhythm of the negative mind.
Yeah. They're asleep, basically.
Yeah. So, but then again, in another kind of thing, the Kabbalah says that everyone's like on elevators to they're all destined to reach back.
I am told that.
But the elevators are different levels.
Moving at different speeds.
Yeah.
You can look at those paradigms, those shapes, those ideas. They're okay. I would say that there's a current that is heading towards the ocean being the ocean of truth, and that all the beings are somehow being carried in the streams. But
even the beings, I mean,
same.
There's only absolute, so how come there's so many beings in the absolute? There's so many different intelligence. I mean, is it like a...
Yeah, well, you see, the thing is that you asked a very good question. I can answer you in this way. That actually there are not many beings. There's only the absolute. Appearing as though it is millions of beings. They're all the absolute. That's what's called. We're all that. We are all that. Everything that can be perceived, both the sentient and insentient forms, the expressions, they're all that. The dreaming, the imagination, all of it is that. It is just a play of the one appearing to be many, diverse, different, unique. But such a realization is rare. For one to actually experience it, not just to think it. Many more can think it and imagine it, but few who can realize that the total profundity is that. To the stage where they are that. They don't believe that, they don't think that, they don't have a conviction of that, they are that. And they will still move on this earth while they have the form. They will still move in a certain way and amongst beings that appear to be different from the perspective of those who are looking at them. But inside they are totally empty. Their perfume tends to be the perfume of love and detachment towards the transient and impermanent things of the world. They're not so enamored by that, they're not so attracted or attached to those things. they see moving in the life as a dream. They do see it. Myself also, I see it. That there's nothing to really invest in because everything is changing. You know, it's not a bad thing that you yourself say. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing that things change. But if you really understood this inside your heart, you would really cling to things which are by nature changeful, including our bodies changeful, minds changeful. But there is something within us which is not changeful. That is the self. And the only thing really worth discovering and knowing is that.
The tendency to cling to certain things, for instance, let's say with love. I want to talk about a relationship love, because most people that's I think the ultimate trap in the world. You know, you might be able to conquer other traps of, but the need to be loved by someone. You know, I think it is very the ultimate trap.
Well, the need is also the illusion. We imagine that, or we fatten up that need because we put pictures to it. We create our own movie. We create context for that love story to manifest.
But what is that? Is that a kind of a deep longing for the?
It's an immaturity in us. It's also an expression of consciousness like that for a while. That we have to taste the love which is, you may call an object love, the love that is an object to be expressed or something like this. Because when I speak of love now, I feel I'm more meaning the love which is the unity of being, the totality of being.
But is the human being, it's so difficult because everyone wants to be loved by some person. I had a unique relationship with someone, like a boyfriend, a girlfriend,
I think you may be over exaggerating because many people, after a while, they see that the love they have, relationship love, has to become more and more refined. In the West, we have, I would say, a kind of privilege of sometimes flirting around with different people to see how difficult it is to find someone with whom you're really compatible.
But something yearns for that, to find a compatible relationship.
It's part of the human kit. You understand? It's like it's part of the human kit when you're coming to the notion of being a human being and the aspirations of a human being and the conditioning of a human being. You know, the need to be loved and to fall in love and to have children and to marry somebody who's a good cook and all this type of stuff. This is all part of the human kit. It's all part of the, it's a package deal. And it takes time to outgrow that, But I don't think that it's necessary to be alone in order to be free, to realize the self. You can have 15 children and realize the self. Nothing actually prevents you from realizing the self. I saw a saying, it says, if you want to be happy, nobody can stop you. And I added to that, if you want to be free, nobody can stop you. Your circumstances in life doesn't have sufficient power to stop you. You may stop yourself by your imagined obstacles and so on. But in truth, these obstacles don't really exist. I always enjoy to talk with you, I don't know what it is, it's something I enjoy.
Yeah.
I like that you push and probe into it. And, appear to challenge me and things in this kind of look and so on. And I really do. Also notice fresh things coming to light. Also because of our conversations. I remember the conversations we had in the past, right here in this room also.
Yeah, we went a few in here. Good.
I think many people enjoy those conversations and gather a lot from them.
Mm-hmm. very grateful for how lucky I am.
I think all our lives, if we're just unfortunate, I feel all our lives are unfortunate. The bitter and the sweet of it is our good fortune. Because nobody grows just on, sugared almonds. Sometimes you have to go through the mill, through the fire, like you have been as well, to develop more understanding, more know-how to be in this great game.
Yeah.